If you're already exhausted by Thursday, that's not because you've lost motivation. And it's probably not some dramatic burnout either. Most people who feel this aren't failing, they're just worn out. The same week that used to feel manageable now takes more out of you than it should. And I know that feeling because I've lived it. 3 hour round trip commutes, a job where priorities change constantly. Every new task suddenly the most important thing in the room. They called it being nimble. What it really meant was finishing most days with half done work still rattling around in my head and starting the next morning already behind. Nothing felt broken, but by Thursday there was very little left in the tank. And because nothing was technically broken, I did what most people do. I just got on with it. And every year it just cost me more. It's got me thinking, why am I always so exhausted these days? Is it burnout, age, health? Is it just how life is now? So I started looking into the reasons why, and what I found out made a lot of sense. Apparently, even moderate everyday stress, the kind that most of us live with, adds up over time. By midlife, recovery between work days slows, sleep patterns shift subtly, and the small constant demands of work, home, and life quietly take more out of you than they used to. It's not a big dramatic burnout. It's just that keeping up with everything, work, emails, responsibilities, takes more out of you than it used to. And that was my wake up call. Exhaustion wasn't a failure, and it wasn't just my age. The old dog still had plenty of fight left in him. I just needed a different rhythm. What most advice gets wrong is that it jumps straight to big change, new career, new purpose, new chapter, big leap. That might work if you're 26 with no dependents and a safety net. But if people rely on you, if your income matters, if mistakes have real consequences, that advice isn't inspiring. It's useless. You're not trying to reinvent yourself. You're just trying to make life feel less relentless. The thing is, your days become a battlefield. You wake up thinking about the day before it's even started. Your calendar is full before you've had breakfast. Every gap is already claimed by something important. Meetings, emails, chasing things that just shouldn't need chasing. By the time you finish work, you're not done. You're just out of time. Evenings disappear into catching up. Weekends aren't for living, they're for recovering. And when someone asks you how you are, you say, yeah, fine. Not because you're lying, it's because explaining the truth takes more energy than you have got left. The hardest part, you don't feel like you can complain. You tell yourself, well, plenty of people have it worse. You're lucky to have work. You should be grateful. So you swallow it, and slowly your life becomes something you manage rather than something you enjoy. You don't need a new life. You just need less pressure on the one you already have. Most people crack not because they chose the wrong path, but because the path just got narrower. The same hours, the same expectations, but less energy, less patience, less margin to play with. Even tiny adjustments feel like they could bring the whole system down. You think, if I drop this, something else will break. If I say no, I'll pay for it later. If I slow down, I'll fall behind. So you just keep going. Not because it works, but because stopping feels worse. Before I ever went on a week's holiday, I would still have to do all the work I would have done during that week had I not been away. And I had to do it all before I went away. It was crazy. But here's what eventually helped me making small concrete tweaks. I couldn't go on like this any longer. So I started blocking out time in my diary just to focus on tasks. Not for meetings, not for urgent requests, just for real work. I reclaimed my lunch. 20 minutes walking to clear my head instead of doom scrolling emails. I stopped replying immediately to everything. I didn't quit my job. I didn't blow things up. I just stopped giving everything to everything. And that alone helped more than you'd think. Being the reliable one is expensive. You sort things out. You don't make a fuss. That reputation didn't come free. It cost evenings, energy, and space. At some point, the price went up, and no one told you. And now you pay for it every week. Most people try to solve this by asking the big questions. What's my next step? What should I do instead? What's the 5 year plan? Sensible, right? Not really. When you've already stretched, those questions just add weight. You don't need a future vision. You need your week to stop draining you now. Clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from relief from the constant hamster wheel. Let's get simple. Stability matters more than status. A week that doesn't wreck you is more valuable than chasing something that looks good on paper. Shrinking a role instead of fighting to keep up. Letting something be good enough and leaving it alone. Sometimes it's saying, I'm not pushing for that next thing right now. Not forever, just not at the expense of your sanity and well being. Sometimes it means earning slightly less to stop living on a knife edge. Sometimes it's letting go of responsibility that used to make sense, but now just takes more from you than it gives back. No applause, no pats on the back. You feel it. That's enough. You feel it when Thursday doesn't wipe you out. You feel it when you finish work and don't immediately feel the dread of tomorrow. You feel it when you can allow your attention to last longer than 10 minutes. Your life stops feeling fragile. When it isn't fragile, you can think differently. You stop reacting. You start choosing. From the outside, it might look like you're doing less. Inside, though, it feels like you can breathe again. You're less grumpy and miserable. You sleep better. You don't feel like everything depends on you holding it all together perfectly. That steadiness rebuilds trust in yourself. And once trust is back, options appear, not fantasies, real ones. This phase of life isn't about chasing more. It's about deciding what actually deserves your effort now. You've already proved you can work hard. You've already done the responsible thing. Now the question is, what's sustainable from here? Not for the 35-year-old you, for the person you are now. If this hits a nerve, try this. Don't redesign your life. Look at where it feels tight. Where does your week feel like it's held together with pressure? Ask one question of yourself. What can I ease slightly without everything falling apart? That's where change starts, quietly, practically, without burning anything down. If you want, put that thing in the comments. No explaining, no justifying. Sometimes admitting it is the first bit of relief. I'll see you next time.